Toronto is breathing baseball again, and the Blue Jays nation can feel the heat of the battle. After sweeping the Yankees in 4 games and taking the lead in the American League East, the blue and white heart is beating strong once more. The city is starting to believe that 2025 could be the turning point, the year the title finally returns to Toronto after a decade of waiting. But behind the excitement comes a reality. Tough decisions are looming as the trade deadline approaches. Names like Joey Loperfido and young promises like Addison Barger and Davis Schneider. No one is 100% safe. And on the horizon, there's a bombshell. Rumors that the Jays might go all in for Kyle Tucker, an all-star caliber player on $1 billion contract. It's the kind of offseason that could redefine the team's future. On one side, the search for an immediate upgrade to contend for the World Series. On the other, the challenge of keeping Bo Bichette and maybe, just maybe, dreaming of a superstar wearing blue at Rogers Center. The fans can feel something big coming. Toronto lives in that balance between faith and uncertainty, between let's go for it and is it worth the risk? Leave a like and drop a comment, Blue Jays Nation, because this space belongs to those who truly live the blue and white. News 1. The Toronto Blue Jays have reached this point in the season with their hearts pounding harder than ever. The team leads the American League East Division with a record of 50 wins and 38 losses, something that hasn't happened since the glory days of 2015. And what reignited that spark? A historic sweep over the Yankees, 4 straight wins against their most iconic rival. That wasn't just a series, it was a statement. A message to the entire league that Toronto is once again a serious contender, and that the October dream is no illusion. But behind this great stretch comes a weight of responsibility. The trade deadline is approaching, and the front office knows standing still is not an option. If the goal is to compete for the World Series, reinforcements are needed, and that's where the names no one likes to hear at the negotiation table come in. Joey Loperfido is one of them. And what came next, no one expected. Loperfido, one of the pieces involved in last year's UCI Kikuchi trade, showed flashes of talent when he got playing time at the end of 2024, but he couldn't quite secure his spot. A .197 batting average, a .579 OPS, and just 2 home runs in 43 games. Now, in 2025, he's trying to reinvent himself with the Buffalo Bisons, the team's AAA affiliate, where he's been solid, batting .269 with a .756 OPS and 36 RBIs in 73 games. Yet, even with good numbers, he's fallen behind in the pecking order. Addison Barger, Miles Straw, Davis Schneider, they all got their chances before him. Edward Ung from Fansided was clear. Loperfido could be the ideal trade chip to land a big name. A player who would serve as a second piece in a package for an all-star. But the message is unmistakable. If Toronto wants a true impact player, it will also need to part ways with one of its top prospects. The question remains, is it worth sacrificing the future for a real shot at a title right now? Behind the scenes, the feeling is that the team will act. The moment is one of strength, confidence, and at the same time, urgency. Toronto knows these windows don't last forever. The fans can feel it. You can see it at Rogers Center, in the energy, in the belief echoing once again. But there's also caution. No one wants to repeat the mistakes of past years, when the team went all in and ran out of gas. This crossroads perfectly captures what it means to be a Blue Jay today. Hope and fear walking side by side. Reinforcing the roster is vital, but choosing the right pieces could define the fate of the entire season. Toronto stands at a turning point. If they go all in and it works, they could finally break the drought and chase the title. But if they get it wrong, it could cost them years of their future. News 2. The season ended with that bittersweet taste the Blue Jays Nation knows all too well. Toronto was one of the best teams in the league, played with intensity, made the fans dream, but stopped at the blue wall of the Dodgers in the World Series. A loss that hurt deeply, not just because of the score, but because the team looked ready and still it fell short. Now begins what many are calling the most important offseason in recent years. And the first point of tension is clear. Bo Bichette, the shortstop, the defensive soul of the team and one of the faces of this generation, is becoming a free agent. The message is simple. Either the Jays re-sign him or they'll open a hole that will be hard to fill, both in the lineup and in the hearts of fans. But as that storyline unfolds, something even bigger is stirring. A rumor that's shaking all of baseball. Bob Nightingale from USA Today predicted that the Toronto Blue Jays could be the team to win the race for Kyle Tucker, the superstar who shined in Chicago and is now in the crosshairs of the league's giants. A contract worth more than $400 million would be the price of such boldness. And what came next, no one expected. The Dodgers are eyeing Tucker too. And when the name Los Angeles Dodgers appears in negotiation, the entire market trembles. Still, Toronto seems willing to go all the way. It's a move that goes beyond need. It's about showing strength, about sending a message to the league that the Blue Jays are no longer just a supporting act. But the question runs deep. Is it worth paying that much for a superstar when the roster still needs pitching, depth, and the re-signing of Bichette? Or is Tucker exactly the piece that could turn this group into a true contender? The fan base is divided. Some say Toronto should act with caution, that the core is already strong and the bullpen should be priority before dreaming too big. Others, however, see Tucker as a symbol of a new era, the kind of player who changes a franchise's culture. Behind the scenes, there's confidence. The front office knows the team has the budget, the structure, and a competitive roster. The sweep over the Yankees, the run to the World Series, all of it reignited respect for the Blue Jays logo. Now, only one final step remains, the step that separates a promising team from a champion. The potential arrival of Tucker, in truth, reflects something greater. Toronto wants to be a destination, not a stopover. It wants to be the team that attracts stars, spends big, and plays to win. This is a new cycle, and every decision now carries the weight of recent history. And the Blue Jays nation can feel it. The team is on the verge of something big. The fear is real, but pride speaks louder. Toronto stands in one of those moments that define eras. The city feels it. The fans live it. The Blue Jays nation, having endured highs and lows, now looks to the future with heart split between reason and dreams. On one side, the challenge of strengthening the roster, perhaps sacrificing young players like Joey Loperfido to bring the immediate impact needed for a title run. On the other, the bold ambition of targeting a superstar like Kyle Tucker, a name capable of changing the team's history, but one that comes at a steep price, both in dollars and in risk. The past season showed what this team can be. Sweeping the Yankees, leading the East, making it to the World Series. Toronto proved it's no longer a rebuilding squad. It's a real contender. But the line between contender and champion is thin, and crossing it requires courage. This is a time for big, cold, and fearless decisions, the kind that divide opinions but build legacies. The Blue Jays nation wants to see a team that acts like a giant, because the fire is burning and the Rogers Center's alive again, just like in the days when Toronto Blue meant respect. To be a Blue Jay is to live between fear and faith. It's to cheer with your heart racing, even when the outcome is uncertain. Because this jersey carries history, sweat, and a love that never cools, even when Toronto skies begin to cloud. Share your thoughts, Blue Jays Nation, and leave a like to show that this blue and white passion never goes silent.